Right, now that I've exposed the retards that fought Paul Felder 1, let's move on to the other fight on the card, which was the co-main event, Jimmy Crute versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I had this fight as a 50-50. I picked Jimmy Crute to win, and I said he would win by late first round TKO or early second. Once the storm of Michal Oleksiejczuk was over, I did not see the fight going this way whatsoever. Jimmy Crute came out there and completely ragdolled Michal Oleksiejczuk, which is something that OSP couldn't do in the first round. Which is something that Khalil Roundtree got ragdolled by. He came out there and he ragdolled Michal Oleksiejczuk in a game that we've never seen him implement whatsoever in MMA. I knew he had a good ground game. I did. He reversed the position of Misha Serkinov, which is a good thing to be able to do. He's very good on the ground. He got caught in a Russian tie. You know, it doesn't matter to me, that fight. I look at this and I see a guy who literally came out there who was, in my opinion, only going to win this fight by weathering the storm of punches and then eventually landing one back on Michal's chin. But he came out there and blasted doubles and looked fucking phenomenal doing it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I know you saw that thing around his knee. He blew out his knee before even getting in the cage. And he still had the takedowns to be able to do that to Michal Oleksiejczuk. He broke a record of in a one-round fight. In a one-round fight in the UFC, there's never been more than 5 takedowns. Jimmy Crute got 8 of them. Okay? He has set the bar very high for himself in terms of holding a record. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't want Jimmy Crute's performance to be overshadowed by the retardation of fans thinking that Paul Felder won the main event. Went to Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker won. Moving on. Jimmy Crute needs to get the credit he deserves because I feel like he's going to get overshadowed here. He's had his interview posted on the UFC, YouTube and Instagram and shit like that. So I'm looking forward to maybe him getting a little bit of rub from this. Great performance. Came out there and dominated a fight that everyone thought was 50-50. Everyone thought that this fight was going to be who lands first, who lands cleaner, and who lands harder. Whoever does is going to win. 50-50. A lot of people did have it 50-50. And even when I predicted Jimmy Crute, I'm like, dangerous though. I'm going to pick Jimmy Crute, but this is dangerous. Even when people picked Michal, people thought, I'm picking Michal, but this is dangerous. These boys sling him. Jimmy Crute comes out, double legs, looks phenomenal, takes down Michal Oleksiejczuk at will. Not even just takes him down at will, but he was doing shit like heel taps. Like, he was doing real techniques. This wasn't just Jimmy Crute being a bigger guy and just lifting up Michal using pure strength. He was using techniques here. Like, he noticed where Michal was doing to defend, and he adjusted his takedowns accordingly, and he kept getting them. And eventually, when you keep getting takedowns, the guy on bottom starts to give up a little bit of hope. When you're getting ragdolled around like that, ask Gable Trujillo, starts to play on your mental games a little bit. Why have I been taken down by this guy with a bad knee, who is not a good grappler, as far as Michal Oleksiejczuk is aware, and why have I been taken down by him 9 times so far this round? 8 times so far this round. And then obviously Jimmy Crute gets on top. He had full mount. Here's how good Jimmy Crute is. He had full mount. He managed to get to full mount, which is difficult enough. But he then gives up full mount for side control, which rarely happens. Usually when a guy gets full mount, he's keeping it until he either finishes the fight on top with ground and pound, or until his opponent rolls out and he gets the back and finishes him by a rear naked choke. Those are the 2 options. The goal once you get to the ground in every single guy's class is I'm going to get into full mount, I'm going to pound this guy, and when he tries to turn over, I'm going to choke him or pound him out from the back. That's what everyone does. Jimmy Crute was like, full mount? Not quite good enough for me. I'm going side control and I'm going to rip this Kimura. The fact that he can have the choice to do that is bizarre to me. Okay, he literally was in full mount with a bad knee coming into the fight, one-legged, just shot a bunch of takedowns, and he thought to himself, you know what? Fancy myself a Kimura. I'm going to go side control and I'm going to rip this Kimura. And it was like clockwork. He was like, I'm going to do this. And then he went and did it. It's very difficult in MMA and in the setting of a fight to come out there and go, I'm going to do this and and it happens. That never happens in MMA. Everyone has an idea of what they want to do until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson said it best. Jimmy Crute never got punched in the face. I guess that's the loophole around Mike Tyson's quote. I don't know why it's so windy behind me, to be honest with you. It's pissing me off. However, that's the loophole around Mike Tyson's quote. Don't get punched and you can do what you want to do. Came out, double-legged, ragdolled him. Was in full mount. Nah, fancy a Kimura. Side control. Twisted his arm up. Michal Oleksiejczuk's taps. After, by the way, that arm is fucked up because Jimmy Crute was pulling that arm and it gave, which means that popped. And Oleksiejczuk still hadn't tapped. And then he kept going with it. And I was like, geez, this arm's coming off unless he taps. And then he tapped. That arm's fucked up badly. I want Jimmy Crute to take some time. He made a call out on the post-fight interview by saying that he wants one more fight and then Misha Cirkunov, which I'm okay with. I like when guys are real. You know, you're not going to get a Misha Cirkunov fight straight away. You're not a champion. Even Reyes ain't getting a rematch, and he beat John Jones. You know what I'm saying? So let's not call out Misha Cirkunov straight away. But he said, I want one more. Then I'll have Misha Cirkunov. So he's a realist. And I like that about Jimmy Crute. And I feel like he could be a real star in this division if he keeps pulling off good wins like that. And I'll be honest with you guys, I wouldn't mind seeing him grapple a little bit more. And if he's coming up against an opponent that thinks they're coming in for a striking match, those takedowns are now something that we know Jimmy Crute has that we never knew he had before. He ragdolled Michal Oleksiejczuk. That just doesn't happen. But he just did it. Michal might need to move down in weight because Jimmy Crute ain't a big light heavyweight whatsoever. I mean, he's got a big head and big hands. And who knows what else. But we won't think about that. But, I mean, he's not the biggest light heavyweight by any means. You've got huge light heavyweights around. You've got Johnny Walker's, Alexander Rakic's, John Jones's, Dominic Reyes's. How do you plural Reyes? I don't know. Dominic Reyes is around. Jimmy Crute's not a big man. Came out there just ragdolled like it was nothing. It was madness to watch, to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like it. And Jimmy Crute was the one with an injury. If you told me Michal had a blown out ACL, I'd be like, makes sense, he got ragdolled. But Jimmy Crute had the torn out ACL and he did the ragdolling? How does that make sense? But he won, and he proved me correct. So good job, Jimmy Crute. He wants one more opponent before he fights Misha Cirkunov in a rematch. I'm going to pick out that opponent right now at light heavyweight. We've got some big fights going on at light heavyweight as well. So Jimmy Crute is number 19 in the division. A win over Michal Oleksiejczuk is probably going to boost him up about, I'd say it'll probably boost him up above, maybe at one position, above Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. You know? And depending on what happens with Shogun Rua and Rodrigo Nogueira, maybe Jimmy Crute can earn himself 2 different positions. However, the fight to make next might just be, now hear me out, the winner of OSP versus Shamil Gamzatov. Because OSP has recently signed a fight with Shamil Gamzatov on the UFC Portland card, I believe. Maybe UFC Oklahoma, but UFC Portland, Oklahoma, one of them 2 cards, same time period. Jimmy Crute, take some time off, heal up your knee, get back in the gym, make sure you're nice and healthy. The winner of Gamzatov versus OSP will be taking on Jimmy Crute. Fingers crossed it's OSP, because that way you can have a bit of storyline. You can say, Jimmy Crute beat the guy that OSP beat, but he did it more impressively, and now these two are going to fight each other to decide who wants to be up next. However, if they don't want to do that, then they should do Jimmy Crute, and here's another great matchup, versus the winner of Khalil Roundtree versus Sam Alvey. Do you want to know why? First of all, get Jimmy Crute back in June on Australia card if you can. But if you can't get him on the Australia card, then save him for one of these matchups that I'm talking about right now. But a great matchup would be if Paul Craig beats Ryan Spann. If Ryan Spann beats Paul Craig, he's ranked, and that's not going to be a fight that Jimmy Crute is going to get. But if Paul Craig wins, before that he went to a draw with Shogun that maybe he should have lost, maybe he should have won, who knows. 2 fights before that he lost to Alonzo Menifield, so that's a great fight as well. Or do you just kill off every sense of talent right now and make Crute versus Alonzo Menifield? Who knows what they're going to do is what I'm trying to say. There's plenty of matchups to make. The winner of Khalil Roundtree versus Sam Alvey would be good, because if it's Khalil, it's a great fight. But Khalil might be retiring, so who knows. But if it's Sam Alvey seems to have a thing or two to say about that stoppage in the first Jimmy Crute fight. I thought it was fine, but Sam Alvey doesn't like the stoppage. So, you know, maybe he has something to say about it. Jimmy Crute versus Sam Alvey rematch, Jimmy Crute versus OSP, Jimmy Crute versus Shamil Gamzatov. Any of these fights make sense to me. One more, and then we'll start looking at him versus maybe a ranked opponent. But that was a phenomenal performance by Jim Crute. Or they could just give him a freebie and make him versus Tyson Pedro on the Australia card. Who knows? Pedro's 21, Jim Crute's 19, not in age, in ranking position outside the rankings. Crute's 19, will be 18 or 17 after that big win over Oleksiejczuk. Pedro's going to probably stay at 21 for the time being. Crute, Pedro, makes no sense, but it's New Zealand versus Australia. The New Zealand fans now know Jim Crute because he just fought as a co-main event of their event in New Zealand. And obviously the New Zealand fan knows Tyson Pedro as well because he's one of them, you know? Tyson Pedro, Jim Crute, UFC Australia. If you want to give Jim Crute a freebie. But if you don't, then let's wait and see what happens in the rest of these fights to come. Like and subscribe. Jimmy Crute needs to get more credit because he put on a most dominant performance, and it's going to get overshadowed by people crying about robberies because it was in Auckland. Oh, it was in Auckland. That means it's a robbery if it's close. Dan Hooker won 3 rounds to 2. Shut your fucking mouth. Jim Crute. See you later. He wins. Good job. And for Michal, it's 2 in a row, man. I don't know what's going to happen to Michal Oleksiejczuk, to be honest. Maybe a fight between him and Clids and Abrio. I don't fucking know, to be honest. A loser of an upcoming matchup. Who fucking knows? Anything. Maybe he goes down to middleweight. We'll never know. But we'll see what happens with Michal Oleksiejczuk. I'd like to see him stay in the UFC. He's a fun fighter. Even though he just got ragdolled and destroyed. Jimmy Crute, man. What a beast. Click that button there. Goodbye. See you later.